But the Colts have kind of already declared a winner this week. That's Mr. Daniel Jones. And everyone in Indiana cheered loudly because they were all so excited that this happened.
What do you mean? This is great.
I don't know a single
Indiana Jones? Are you serious? This is great. You could post those shirts everywhere. Indiana Jones, Daniel Jones, Indiana Colts, Indianapolis Colts, Indiana. You know, you guys are in Indiana. So Indiana Jones. It just makes sense. You post that on shirts, it's gonna sell well.
I don't know, other than Chus, I don't know a single person who was excited about this.
I mean, I
feel kind of bad for Daniel Jones because everyone, like, when they made the announcement, all the comments were just like, no. A bunch of our local sports reporters were like, I am not watching the Colts this year. And it was just like, it was bad.
The problem, I mean, I understand though. I understand the problem with it though. It's Daniel Jones did not do well when he was with the Giants. But do you think the Colts offense is in the same boat as the Giants offense? That's a big question. Because you have to look at it this way. When Sam Darnold played for the Jets, he showed strokes of light, okay? And then there was other days where he didn't. I don't think the offense for Sam Darnold was really that great during the time period in which Darnold was there. Darnold got moved. He went all over the place, whatever. He ended up being a backup in San Francisco, then started in Minnesota, had a crazy breakout year, and now is starting over in Seattle, which that's going to be very interesting. But the one thing that's very crucial to remember is that Minnesota offense was awesome. Like, you had great players, and that's always the argument with Brock Purdy too. Like, any quarterback, quote unquote, could have been put in that system and done well. Whether you believe it or not, I knocked over a can. But whether you believe it or not, that's how I look at it. So Daniel Jones's offense for the Giants was, I mean, the biggest player from that team, remembering correctly, was probably Malik Neighbors, at least last season. I mean, I know Saquon had his stint there a couple years ago, but like, I mean, you could argue that too, but that was before Neighbors. But like, do you think that Daniel Jones is because this is the thing that I think a lot of Colts fans are a little concerned. Like, I get it, but like, do you think that he's worse than Gardner Minshew?
Do I think he's worse than Gardner Minshew?
Or do you think he's better than Gardner Minshew? Because Gardner Minshew also brought that team to a 9-8, one play away probably from making playoffs. I mean, is that team in the same boat that it was a couple years ago? No, maybe not. But like, I don't imagine the offense has changed that drastically either.
No, but I think the defense has gotten worse. And I don't know.
Do you rely more on Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson?
I'd say Daniel Jones and Gardner Minshew are probably in similar tiers, with Gardner Minshew having a better defense.
Okay.
And then also all the injuries. So now you're kind of relying more on Daniel Jones than you were on Gardner Minshew. And, you know, people are going to, and we're going to talk about this here with Anthony Richardson as well. People are going to say like, oh, well, you know, change of scenery. It's just going to, you know, it's going to make them better. But that's not what happened. I mean, the players that people bring up every single time are Sam Darnold, like you did, Geno Smith, and Baker Mayfield. And I'm not saying you're wrong about Sam Darnold. Clearly, we saw what he did last year. But also, let's talk about what you said. What did Sam Darnold do? Sam Darnold went to the Panthers. Then he went, and he wasn't great. He wasn't great in Carolina. He did not just switch teams and go. He was great. Then he went to the 49ers. Kyle Shanahan, great coach. Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota, great offensive coach. Let's look at Baker Mayfield. Where did he go? He went to Carolina. Didn't do great. Ended up in the Rams system with Sean McVay. And Sean McVay, another great coach. Then he ends up going to Tampa Bay and doing a lot better. Geno Smith, similar kind of path. Yes, we didn't see him a lot. We didn't see them spend a lot of time on the field as starters, but they were in these systems with great offensive minds. I mean, I don't think Daniel Jones just coming from New York to Shane Steichen in Indianapolis is just going to automatically make him better.
I don't think so necessarily either, but you have to also kind of, because the thing is I always I look at it based on necessarily not change of scenery, but also the scheme that you're putting yourself in. I mean, Baker Mayfield, arguably, I think Baker Mayfield is a tough option to think. It's a tough option to compare because I think Baker Mayfield is a lot better of a quarterback than the Browns.
I think he got screwed by Cleveland.
Yeah, I think the Cleveland Browns really screwed him over because they genuinely, that Browns team would probably be in a much better shape right now. And this AFC North would be probably crazy if Baker Mayfield was still around because they would actually be building a team around that guy. Because in Carolina, okay, yeah, whatever, but he did well in that Rams game and then has done well with Tampa Bay ever since. I don't think he was ever an issue. Sam Darnold, Geno Smith was never really a starter. He was always just kind of like a backup, if I remember correctly, most of the time. But I think I don't, the thing is depending on what kind of plays I think Indianapolis runs, I don't think Daniel Jones is the end of the world. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it really is, but I don't like the idea of them giving up already on their I guess third overall pick or whatever it was, third overall pick. I don't like that. Fourth. Okay. Sorry. I knew he was top 5. I just didn't remember where, but I don't like that they gave up on him already, but I mean, teams have been doing that pretty regularly, as we've seen. I mean, some of them just don't pan out. I mean, Kenny Pickett did not pan out 2 years, and their first round draft pick is now bust. So he is now gone. You can go down the list of, all of these quarterbacks that I barely can remember their names from that draft class. But with Anthony Richardson, I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see him start, but I wouldn't call it the end of the world. I don't know if it's the greatest move, but I don't know. Because I think what's going to end up happening with the Colts, which I'm a little scared at for any Colts fans out there right now, is I'm afraid for a quarterback carousel, which I think is going to happen in Atlanta this season. I know, but I think, but worse. You remember the Jets a couple of years ago when we were in school? Like, come on, dude. Like, it was freaking, I remember talking to Stan. It was like Mike White was freaking quarterback. Like, it's a crazy pull.
I mean, so, okay. I think the only reason Daniel Jones won this spot over Anthony Richardson is because of consistency. I think Anthony Richardson has the highest ceiling, but he doesn't stay up by the ceiling very often. Sometimes he drops to the floor heavily and very randomly. And so it just is annoying. Anthony's agent, and let me pull up my photo of Anthony Richardson so we can talk about this. Anthony's agent said that trust is a big factor, and that is at best questionable right now, referring to the Colts. He says Anthony came back and made the improvements in the areas he needed to improve, and by all accounts, he had a great camp, which is true. Sure. Okay, great. I don't think many people would disagree with that.
No.
But there were also multiple games where he would, first half, he looks great. He like, okay, yes, this is why we made you a fourth overall pick. And then in the next half, we're like, have you ever thrown a football before? Like,
we've talked about that with some quarterbacks before too. I'm pretty sure we had this conversation with Sam Darnold. We've had this conversation with this guy before.
It's like your consistency is an issue, and so I do think that's why Daniel Jones won the spot over. But do you think Anthony Richardson could go somewhere else? The Rams have been talked about as a possible, with Matthew Stafford kind of battling some injuries, and obviously being older. Do you think Anthony Richardson could eventually go somewhere else and be a starter, be that first top 5 caliber starting quarterback?
I think it's possible. The problem is arguably that he just hasn't really had, I don't want to say like a chance, but his breakout rookie year, he looked like he was going to be good and then ended up being out for the rest of the season. And I was like, oh, wow, like that's unfortunate. And last year, he just did not look like the same guy that we saw, which you could argue a sophomore slump or whatever you want to argue, but he just didn't look as good as he should have been in comparison to year one. And now going into this year, he's not starting at all. So, it's one of those things where we may never see his full potential because they're not giving him the full potential to start. over in Carolina with Bryce Young, he started and then wasn't doing well. Then they pulled him, put Andy Dalton in. Andy Dalton started winning games, and they threw Bryce Young back in. Bryce Young kind of got his feet better and now looks a lot more competent of a quarterback than he did. Now, do I think he's going to be a superstar? No, probably not, but he's going to probably be at least decent. And it'll be interesting to see what they do down in Carolina. But when it comes to Anthony Richardson, I think he could, but I think a lot of times, I think the problem is a lot of times like these quarterbacks thrive in better schemes depending on where they're at. Like you can say, oh yeah, like this player just did better in this other scheme and whatnot. Yeah. And I think that that's true. And I think that maybe Anthony Richardson would play in a more, like under Sean McVay's offense or whatnot. Like it's possible, but you have to also consider the fact that since he's not really getting the chance to start, is that scaring teams away? Because he's not starting, if a team trades for him, like the Rams, are they going to trust him to start or be the future? Because they're like, well, we haven't seen too much of you. And the times that you did start, you lost your quarterback battle, you got hurt. Now your rookie season, you kind of got switched out a couple times in year 2. Because like if I'm Sean McVay, like I'm going to be like, well, Anthony Richardson, a good quarterback too, but like I want to see what he can do during the season, and if he doesn't do well, you boot him. I mean, that was kind of what the Steelers did, but like they weren't investing in either. Like they brought in Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, and like but I think he could, but I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, they have a young guy. They have a young backup in Riley Leonard. If Anthony Richardson really believes, he firmly believes, which he appears to, that he should be a starter in the NFL,
then go to the Saints. Because the Saints just need a quarterback, bro.
Here's the thing, though.
I don't think he would thrive there, though.
I don't think he would. I don't think he would thrive with the Saints because like I said with Daniel Jones, just changing scenery is not what made those other guys good. It was being under guys like Kyle Shanahan, like Sean McVay. I think the only opportunity that Anthony Richardson, as it stands right now, is going to have to, be this like, kind of refreshed, revolutionized version of himself. And again, he has all the assets. He just hasn't been consistent. Sean McVay, because Sean McVay has figured out how to kind of revitalize quarterbacks, work with different quarterbacks, play to their strengths. Are the Rams what they used to be? Not necessarily, but they still have Sean McVay.
And they do have pieces, though, that could work in the offense. That kind of honestly remind me a little bit of the Colts. I mean, you have Kyron Williams. He's not, I don't know if he's arguably better than Jonathan Taylor. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But okay, you have a running back you have that wide receiver 1, Michael Pittman Jr., Puka Nacua. You have a similar offensive scheme, I guess you could probably say. You're not like going from like super like washed out or dried out wide receivers or anything like that. You still got, because like when we say with the Saints, so you go down to the Saints, it's like Alvin Kamara's older, and then like it's like what, Chris Olave.
Chris Olave, they got
it's a tougher thing than like Puka Nacua, who's a star. Michael Pittman Jr. is a star. Like these guys are. So if AR was to go there, I think it would make sense. I was gonna mention. I'm not gonna mention this team anymore, but because I thought about it, but I was like, no, probably not a good idea. But I mean, if he wanted to get an opportunity to start, arguably at some point, he could go to the Raiders. Because the Raiders are kind of building up their team because they have, so the reason that I thought about this was I was like, you have Brock Bowers and now you have Ashton. You have Ashton at running back, and you have Brock Bowers, who was a weapon offensively last year. Your wide receivers are not all there yet. I mean, you have Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, and then Dante Thornton Jr. is listed as wide receiver 3. So, those are not strong wide receivers per se, but over there, their second string is Aiden O'Connell, and Geno Smith is already in his mid 30s. So he could get a arguable, like a build around him. I think on an offensive perspective, I think they're in a better place than New Orleans.
I just feel like I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I feel like Aiden O'Connell would be more competition for Anthony Richardson than what he would see in Los Angeles. Because in Los Angeles, he's only competing against Jimmy Garoppolo and Stetson Bennett, assuming
Okay,
Matthew Stafford's gone.
All right, you think Stetson Bennett? He's not losing that. It's going to be Stetson Bennett all the way. Quarterback 1. When Matt Stafford, I'm playing right now.
I mean, Stetson.
He's a good quarterback.
I was going to say Stetson Bennett had a good. He's had a good preseason, but he's already 27. He's already 27.
That's why I said I was like, he's. It's sad because like he would have been such a good quarterback, but he played like 8 million years in college. So
I don't know. I feel like Aiden O'Connell is somehow more competition for Anthony Richardson than what Stetson Bennett and
right.
And that's not good. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing that we're talking about that like that right now.